My name is Andrew, aka Mr. Rebirth, and I'm here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma for the Oklahoma State Democratic Convention. Let's check it out. I'm here with Michelle Dietrich, the DNC Climate Chair. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. So I want to start by talking about your points on the panel about the big ugly bill and talking about the $1.1 billion subsidies to fossil fuel industry. There's a lot of talk about this bill. For people who aren't very familiar with it, what are some of the big environmental highlights in this bill that you think are most problematic?
I think I'll call them low lights, dark lights. Well, the subsidies to oil and gas in the Senate bill are terrible. There's a really horrible attack on the green energy tax credits, which do things that are wildly popular with like over 70% of Oklahoma voters actually, which is credits for putting solar panels on your home, for weatherizing your home, and the credits for doing that for nonprofits like mosques and church and synagogues, and for governmental entities. So those are win-win policies, right? It saves people money, and it helps with climate because it reduces our energy use. It's like, so the tax on the EV tax credits, which coming from an auto manufacturing state, Michigan, is wildly unpopular there because we're moving into creating the cars of the future. And I have a hybrid, but whether or not that's your thing, we need to be able to compete with China and other countries as they move into that field. So, and there's terrible cuts to, FEMA, the USDA, National Weather Service. Just Tuesday, DOD, the Department of Defense, stopped reporting some of the key data that hurricane forecasters need. Wow. We're still collecting it from the satellites, but they're not going to report it so that we can prepare for hurricanes. Right. It's cruel, it's reckless, and it's just stupid.
Yeah. On that note of FEMA, we've seen just this year alone several states be questioned or even rejected outright their emergency support that they needed when it came to North Carolina and Arkansas and these different extreme weather. As extreme weather like this is increasing, what are our options to protect those services for people? Because if they're going to take away that relief, what other alternatives do we actually have?
So I would say first, right now, fight back. We still can fight back. In fact, if you go to dncclimate.org, what'll pop up is a call your senator or write to your senator to oppose these things. And also there's a petition to stop the firings of the federal workers. So keep fighting. And then I would say next, this is a very complicated question, but be sure that we get the stories out there of what I'm very afraid are going to be tragic and horrible things, and actually lives lost as a result. We have to share the stories with respect and honor those experiences, but also make sure we tie it back to who is responsible. And then, states are being left on their own. And you think about a state like, Delaware or Rhode Island, they're supposed to have their own huge disaster response. Right. It's just not, it's not realistic, and it's being cut off so quickly. So I'm hoping that states may form coalitions to kind of deal with this, but mostly we just got to fight back with everything we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I've also seen is we're seeing a lot of talk about millions of acres of some of our most pristine land, especially when we look into like the Pacific Northwest being opened back up to industry or energy exploration. It feels with so many things environmental that these are such uphill battles, and that once we lose a certain battle, like opening that land up, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. What is the likelihood right now that we can or stop that from moving forward? And if we can't, where becomes the alternatives of still protecting that land? Do the states have any alternatives to really question and fight the federal government if they do open that land? Stuff like
that. Once again, it's about the organizing and the movement, amplifying it, not letting it become normalized, and calling out the results as it happens. Right. States don't have, to my knowledge, a lot of ways to fight back on these federal issues, except for things like regulating sizes of trucks on roads. In states where you have Democrats in charge, that can be done. But it's also wildly unpopular. 71% of Oklahomans support renewable energy on public land. 71% do not support, massive clear cutting on
Right.
and drilling and extraction and things that are damaging to the land. So the fight has to be there, and then I think we got to win the midterms.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's electing Democrats is absolutely key. And if we can take back that control in Congress to help put a stop to this, and then putting everything we've got into winning again the presidency and the White House, and then reversing that. It took 4 years of Biden in the White House. We hadn't completely rolled back all the terrible things Trump did. It
Right.
will be long.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, the midterms, and when it comes to supporting candidates, one thing, if you talk to conservatives or Republicans, they talk about the hypocrisy on the Democratic side. So when we're talking about environmentalism in particular, when it comes to fossil fuels, donating to both sides of the party, where is the climate committee working with? Where are you guys focused on prioritizing that within the party and holding those politicians accountable that are still taking money from fossil fuels?
So, well, when I ran for office, I took the no fossil fuel subsidy pledge. I still think it's a great thing that came out of Climate Hawk's vote. So we worked to put good climate policy front and center. We have a policy agenda on our website. We've worked to get that into the Democratic Party platform. And we also work to educate candidates, because candidates are asked to become experts on a wide range of things.
Right.
And they do get a lot of disinformation from the fossil fuel industry. So we're working very hard. And that's especially important right now with data centers, which have impacts for climate, but also for water quality, how much people are paying for energy, and they are just skyrocketing. So
Right.
we are partners with many other organizations, to be clear, who are doing terrific work on this issue, which I think is key, and trying to ensure that our Democratic legislators and candidates are aware on it. Yes, we have work to do in the Democratic Party on climate. We do not do all of the things that we need to do. We do not take all the stands that we need to. I am grateful that it took me and others 2 years of organizing to get the Climate Council approved. And I'm grateful we now have an entity within the National Party that is working to educate and inform. So
Absolutely, yeah. So again, I mentioned, environmentalism can feel so negative and pessimistic because we're fighting so many uphill battles. What is your biggest optimistic thought right now? Where do you feel like our biggest victory might be? Even something that might be getting lost in the weeds of all the negative news, things like that.
well, solar energy and wind energy are cheaper than ever, right?
Absolutely.
And so there is that marketplace. I mean, things are happening, I don't know, naturally in the marketplace, which is why these huge additional subsidies to oil and gas are so potentially damaging, right? So there's that. There's the fact that there's a huge surge of interest within the Democratic Party. In organizing around climate and environment. And I think it's partly because, as I mentioned in the panel earlier, I don't need to tell you that, the extreme weather events and all of these things are very much in people's minds. Almost everyone has felt an impact, or someone in their family has. But so seeing that surge of interest, and from state party leaders, from national party leaders, from candidates, having congressional candidates contact me and say, what should I be thinking about on this issue? That's huge. It does give me hope. And also, I think people are realizing how important this is with the crucial youth vote, which, youth turnout was horrific, almost everywhere in November. That's got to change. It's an issue that matters to them. Although, fun fact, the second largest group of climate voters, people who name it as one of their top 2 issues, 65 and older.
Really?
Especially women of color.
Interesting.
And we don't really yet, this is sort of a new finding. We don't really understand it yet. We think it's maybe the grandmother effect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. That's all I have. Do you have any last words, or, words of hope and encouragement for Oklahoma or the nation?
Yeah. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, progress is not quick. It takes a long time, and we have to keep going. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It is the issue of our generation, and it is our duty and our privilege, and in some ways an honor, that we get to fight for something that matters so much, and we have to keep sight of it.
Absolutely. Michelle Dietrich,
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
It's a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. Thanks
Pleasure
for being in
meeting you.
Oklahoma.
And
Absolutely.
pleasure getting to be familiar with your work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. I
You write
appreciate
great
it.
articles.
Thank you.
Heart work, because that's what this should be about. It's about making sure that we're a little kinder to one another.
Truth to power when he called out the president on his lies and hypocrisy. We know him, we love him, Congressman Al Green. Thank you very much.
It's a really beautiful hotel. It's really hot today. And I had to drive 2 hours from Oklahoma City, but it's been worth it. Elizabeth Warren is going to be speaking at the dinner, so I'm really hoping I can get a chance to interview her. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I just happened to get here after my lunch break, right in between sessions. There's not really anything happening. It's about 4 o'clock. We got about 45 minutes till the press is able to get into the dinner. I'm pretty sure right now there's just a break. I thought there was going to be more sessions going on, but maybe not. Really like these microphones. Yeah, there's nobody in these rooms. I'm not sure what everybody's doing right now. I can't find anybody. Sounds like we're waiting until the dinner, which starts at 5 o'clock.
The far exit.
George Patterson.
Turn the lights up because I'm getting ready to step down here. Can I get $500? $500. Somebody. Oh, come on, my feet hurting. I gotta say $500 right here. Put your hand up high, sir. Right here. $500. All right. Can we get another? Can I get another? Oh, come on now. I'm coming down here, folks. Oh, over here, sisters and brothers. I need more staff to get up. I got another 500 right here. I got 500 over here. I got 500 over here. Was that 500 or 1,000? 500. Come on, folks. Come on. Can I get another? Can I get another? Oh, come on. I'm ready. Oh, wait a second, folks. I smell money. I smell money over here. Okay, folks, this is what I need. I need somebody to give something. Can I get $100? Can I get $25 over here? Can I get something? All I'm looking for is $5, $10. It's almost time for me to go home. Can I get something? I didn't hear nothing over here. I know somebody over here got $5. Andre! Right here, $5. Okay. Okay, good. Can we get a little more? I'll take anything, folks. I told you, we like the money that comes, but we'll take the money that changes. Right here, I got no more. $25 for my brother Michelle. All right, man. Mike, now you're in charge of taking 316. I need one more person to get $25. I'll circle back. There we go. Right here. We got $25 over here.
3 abstentions and 83 votes for John Walton. Good. 83, Walton, 17 Dawson, 20 Andrews, 3 abstentions. One moment, please.
All right, we're finalizing the count.
right. With a total of 560 votes cast. Can you believe that? Waldron, 321. Dawson, 100. Andrews, 139. Majority needed to be 281 votes. Mr. John Waldron is your new chair. Thank you, Oklahoma Democratic Party. I'm grateful for everyone who showed up today. I'm grateful for everyone here who represents the great Oklahoma Democratic Party. I'm grateful to Chairman Alicia Andrews for her service to the party over 6 years. I'm grateful also to Kevin Dawson for his spirit of campaign. Traveling thousands of miles around the state. I'm thankful to everyone on my team for helping bring this together. This was a team effort, as our mission to take back Oklahoma will be a team effort. So now I'm going to finish my speech. Here we go. Timing is everything. Together, we will rebuild the Democratic coalition. Together, we will fight for racial justice, for good public schools for everyone, for health care, and for human rights. Together, we will take the fight to Brian Walters and the forces of Christian nationalism. Together, let us find out our rules and take the fight to the Republicans. I know we will, when we work together as a team, win in Oklahoma. Go Democrats! I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Chairman Andrews, who has some notes for us. Who has some notes for me? Let's have it one more time for Chairman. Chairman Andrews has given me some documents. When we are going to take your resolution. But my first action as chair will be to turn the leadership over to a presiding officer. Elaine Dodd will now act as the presiding officer today. Thank you.
All right. Well, if you missed it, John Waldron is officially the new Democratic chair of Oklahoma, and one of the officers is going to preside over the rest of the meeting. It's been a long 3 days. I'm here with State Rep Jared Deck. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Andrew. Glad the convention's over with.
Yeah. How do you feel in general after this long weekend? Positive, negative, just in
Sure.
general? Yeah.
I feel hopeful for the future. Events like this, they're always tough to put together. Really grateful to the staff and to the outgoing administration who really worked hard to put this together. And I felt like it was a functional event, and we got all of our business done. And also glad it's over.
Yeah. Again, it started kind of slow today, but they really got it moving along. And obviously, the big talk is going to be the chair election. The fact that Alicia has been replaced by John. Just give me your general feelings about that. Whether you want to talk about both candidates individually or just the election as a whole.
Sure. I feel like Chairwoman Andrews. She got elected for the first time in 2019, and really made a lot of good strides for the party throughout her tenure. And apparently the electorate was just ready for, I think, a new start, a fresh start.
Yeah.
Representative John Waldron, I think, offers a very positive vision, really trying to communicate and connect and make bridges across some of our natural party divides. Specifically, making sure that our House and Senate Democrats really have a great relationship with our state party, and also with our advocacy organizations out there. There's a lot of allies, and we need to get people in the same room working together and not working against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about that, let's talk about kind of the early on stage where it kind of did delay today, where we had the contention around the idea of doing any sort of electronic voting. You want to kind of recap for people who weren't there what that was about. And obviously it was turned down today, but what your thoughts are on that strategy moving forward.
I don't think that's something that we shouldn't do, that we shouldn't look to. I mean, technology is obviously a part of our lives and part of our future. I think that this particular electorate, these delegates at this convention, had a lot of questions that they just weren't satisfied with the answers. When you make a technology change on folks who aren't used to the technology necessarily, or not everyone is, it's a difficult task. And I think things went smoothly even without electronic voting today.
Yeah, absolutely. So in general, let's talk about kind of, the other people who were elected. We saw vice chair, we saw secretary, treasurer. Tell me a little bit about just your highlights and what you think kind of what we should be looking forward to as a whole through those elections.
Sure. John Waldron has just, he's an excellent background as an educator and a real fundraiser and an organizer on the ground. I mean, nobody helps out on more campaigns than John. He's a door knocker. He puts in the sweat equity. Erin Brewer is the new vice chair. She's a communications expert. She also has a fantastic background in nonprofit organizing. So really adding, governance guardrails to our organizations to make that way. And then Alberto Alonso Sandoval, who's a rising young professional in South Oklahoma City. And Alberto is the twin brother of Representative Arturo Alonso Sandoval. And Alberto, he's an engineer. He's got a finance background, also a nonprofit background. And then round that out with our new state secretary, Katie Kane. Katie is a Chickasaw woman from Ardmore, Carter County. And Katie has done a lot of the infrastructure work for rural counties and some of our congressional districts. So I feel like there's a real well-rounded team to kind of build something that that's foundational for us, and make sure we've got our footing as a party so that we can continue to grow.
Yeah. So in general, tell me, what do you see as your biggest hopes looking forward for the party, and kind of not just coming off this election, but after an event like this, whether it was the specific policies discussed or any changes to, the bylaws, things like that?
With this convention, I think we saw some of the greatest excitement that we've seen in a while. We definitely saw some of the greatest numbers.
Yeah.
So the amount of people who are turning out, who want to get involved, who are either looking to donate, or if they can't donate, they want to find a way to help. And for us, for me, it's all about organizing on the ground, and we have to meet the needs of our neighbors, and we also have to make sure that we're reaching out to them. Because if we don't, part of what we lost in our national politics is we've lost a sense of humanity.
Yeah.
And we've got to value each other as humans before we can persuade people to vote for us. But we show that through our actions. And for me, I think coming out of this convention, I think one thing that I hope to see is really putting our actions, our action foot forward, and our voice foot right there along with it. But if we're not backing up what we say with tangible work on the ground, organizing mutual aid, and really standing firm for working class people, then I don't know what else we could be doing. To
Yeah.
me, I'm excited about the future. I'm hopeful that we're going to see a lot of new folks coming into the party, doing the work, and hopefully we make inches of progress at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, this is State Representative Jared Deck. Just excited to be joining y'all and excited to be a part of a greater movement, progressive organizing on the ground, making sure that we're doing tangible things to help our neighbors in need. We should always remember, dream big, act bigger.